You know what's funny? People spend their whole lives waiting for some grand sign, some booming voice from the sky, some miracle to tell them, go on, now's the moment. But you didn't wait. You didn't beg for permission from fate, or the heavens, or the quiet little voices that keep most souls tucked safely in their cages. You moved. You acted. You did the thing they said was impossible, unthinkable, premature, dangerous even. And while everyone else sat around, hoping something sacred would blink first, you blinked. You crossed the invisible line nobody else dared to touch. And oh, just imagine the cosmic shock. A world that loves spectators suddenly watching someone actually do what destiny only whispers about. That's the moment creation leans forward. That's the moment the universe laughs, delighted and horrified at once. Because you did the one thing existence loves most. You didn't wait for it. You forced its hand. You became the catalyst everyone else prayed someone else would be. Isn't it amusing how most people live like polite little ghosts in their own lives? Quiet, careful, waiting, always waiting. They stand at the edge of possibility like scared children, looking over the cliff and whispering, should I? Am I allowed? Will something come tell me it's time? As if destiny is some bureaucratic office that hands out permission slips. They wait for approval, signs, blessings, guarantees. Anything that makes the leap feel safe. Pathetic, really. They don't understand the joke yet. Nothing great ever starts with permission. It starts with movement. Sudden, reckless, unapologetic. A step that shocks even the sky but you. You didn't wait, did you? You didn't ask nicely. Didn't beg the universe to pat your head first. You pushed forward like someone who finally realized the cage door was open the whole time. That's the delicious part. Most people are prisoners because they believe they are. You saw the bars, laughed, and walked through them, while everyone else pressed their faces against metal that wasn't even locked. They'll call you arrogant, impulsive, dramatic. Good. Let them. People always insult what they secretly wish they had the courage to do. It makes them feel less small. Meanwhile, you did the one thing they fear most. You moved before certainty existed. And destiny. Oh, destiny loves that kind of madness you see. The universe doesn't reward hesitation. It doesn't hand crowns to those who wait politely in line. It favors the disruptor, the one who steps forward while everyone else whispers. Not yet. The moment you choose action over permission, you shift the script. You force fate to wake up, stretch its ancient bones, and chase you. Most souls beg destiny to notice them. Fragile prayers, trembling hopes. But you made destiny flinch. You made it turn and stare, because you acted like someone who already belonged on the other side of doubt. That's the secret no one wants to hear. Authority isn't granted. It's taken by those who decide they deserve it before anyone else doesn't. Think about the panic you caused in silence. Dreams don't panic when you sleep. They panic when you stand. Comfort doesn't crumble when you rest. It crumbles when you move. You've disturbed your own story in the best possible way. That internal voice society trained you to obey. The one that told you, Wet, be patient, don't risk. Don't offend fate. It shattered the moment you acted. That's why you feel a strange thrill now. A quiet shock. A pulse under the skin that says something just shifted. Because it did. You didn't follow the script. You lit it on fire. People treat destiny like a sacred painting you aren't allowed to touch. You grabbed a brush and smeared your fingerprints all over it. Funny how fear works. Everyone is terrified of doing the wrong thing, making the wrong move, stepping at the wrong time. They'd rather rot in preparation than leap into progress. They confuse hesitation with wisdom. They think waiting is holy, safe, noble. What a joke. Waiting is where dreams go to suffocate. Action, even messy, imperfect action, is worship to the force that built existence. Movement is acknowledgement that life favors the brave, not the cautious. The first spark of anything legendary is a decision that ignores doubt. A step taken before comfort catches you by the ankle and whispers, "Stay." You didn't just take a step. You declared yourself alive. You shocked your fear, slapped timidity in the face, and showed creation you're not one of its fragile dolls. And whether your step leads to chaos or triumph doesn't even matter right now. What matters is that you moved. You defied the quiet death most people call safety. You threw yourself at possibility like someone who finally remembered what lungs are for. And the universe, it responds to energy like that. Not instantly, not gently, but unmistakably. When you act without waiting, life rearranges. Paths open, forces stir. You start to feel something ancient and electric humming beneath your bones' ownership. Intent. Momentum. And there's no going back from that. When a person dares to act without permission, something divine in them wakes up, and something small inside them dies forever. Faith. Such a dramatic word, isn't it? People say it with glowing eyes and trembling hands, like it's some delicate glass relic that might shatter if you breathe too hard on it. They talk about believing, hoping, dreaming, trusting. Oh, the poetic romance of waiting for life to reward you just because you feel deserving. But real faith isn't soft or sweet or sentimental. It's teeth gritting, pulse pounding, heart in your throat madness. Real faith is action. It's motion. It's stepping off the edge when nothing is built below yet. Anyone can believe with their mouth. But faith shows in the feet, not the tongue look around. This world is full of dreamers. People who swear they're destined for more, but cling to stillness like it's their only oxygen. They close their eyes at night and whisper, "I trust something good will happen." How noble. And then what? The sun rises. They stretch and repeat the same timid routine that's been choking their potential for years. That isn't faith. That's comfort disguised as spirituality. Faith is not leaning back and hoping. Faith is leaning forward and risking. The universe doesn't move for the ones who wait. It bends for the ones who walk straight into the unknown with shaking knees and wild eyes. People confuse hope with faith. Hope is passive. Hope says, maybe one day. Faith laughs at, oh, one day, and walks into now. Faith puts skin in the game. Faith doesn't ask, what if I fall? Faith whispers, "What if I fly?" And then jumps before doubt wakes up. You think destiny respects hesitation. No, no. Destiny salutes the unhinged bravery of someone who acts as if the path will appear simply because they started moving. You didn't wait for certainty. You created it. That's what faith looks like. The world believes after it sees. But the ones who change the script believe before there's anything to see at all, and don't misunderstand. Movement doesn't mean reckless chaos. It means defiance. Defiance against fear, against excuses, against the quiet suffocation of waiting for a perfect moment that never comes. People stare at the mountain and pray for strength. The foolish ones start climbing and discover strength halfway up, bleeding hands and burning lungs, laughing because they realize the mountain only reveals itself to those who climb it. Faith is messy. Faith is loud inside even when silent outside. Faith is trying again and again, even when nothing yet proves you should. And yes, sometimes faith makes you look ridiculous. Good. Every masterpiece begins with madness that looked foolish at first. The crowd will always call movers irrational. They'll say, "Be careful. Slow down. Think it through." What they really mean is, don't make us uncomfortable by proving action is possible. People want to pretend destiny chooses, but the truth is destiny responds. And faith is not a feeling. It's a challenge thrown at reality. You dare life to meet you by moving toward it first. You don't wait for signs. You become the sign. You don't pray for doors. You build a handle and rip them open. And funny thing, once you move, the world suddenly, miraculously shifts. Opportunities appear. People show up. Support arrives. But it wasn't magic. It was motion. Think about it. Water only flows to those who dig. The path only lights up for the one who walks. There is no revelation without risk. Faith is not trusting that things will be delivered like packages to your doorstep. Faith is walking into the storm and trusting your steps will matter, even when no one is watching. You didn't sit in the corner clutching hope like a teddy bear. You stood up, wiped the hesitation off your face, and moved like someone who refuses to be a spectator in their own fate. And suddenly the world feels different, doesn't it? Not because it changed, but because you did. When you act, every invisible force watching takes notice. Momentum wakes up. Your spine stiffens. Your voice gets steadier. And suddenly you realize something terrifying and thrilling. You were never waiting for life. Life was waiting for you. Faith didn't bloom when you felt brave. Faith bloomed when you moved while afraid. Because wishing is cheap. Whispering dreams is easy. But stepping forward with trembling hands and a racing heart, that's where destiny kneels. That's where power is born. And that's when the world finally realizes you're not hoping for change. You are the change in motion. Pain. Oh, pain is such a misunderstood friend, isn't it? People treat it like a curse, like a punishment, like something to hide beneath blankets and pills and polite little smiles. But pain is a pulse, a heartbeat, a reminder that you haven't surrendered yet. It's the scream inside your bones that says, "We're not done. We're not finished. we're still in the fight. Funny, isn't it? Everyone wants to win, but no one wants to bleed. Everyone wants transformation, but nobody wants the fire that melts the old skin off. They want breakthrough without bruises, rebirth without burial, glory without grit. They want life to be gentle, predictable, kind. But life shapes warriors, not warriors and pain. Pain is the chisel. Pain is the hammer. Pain is the laughter of the universe saying, let's see how badly you really want this. People cry. They complain. They run to comfort like scared children, hiding behind the couch when the thunder rolls. They want ease. Ease. The opium of the masses, the slow death disguised as peace. But the dangerous ones, the ones who shift the world a little to the left, just by existing, they don't hide from pain. They shake hands with it. They study it. They sharpen themselves against it like a blade against stone, sparks flying, steel singing, sanity fraying just a little, just enough to make them unstoppable think about it. Pain is proof. Proof that you dared. Proof that you cared. Proof that you stretched yourself far, beyond the reach of the timid and the tame. Pain means you were brave enough to try. The world tries to numb itself into silence. Scrolling, drinking, distracting, anything to avoid feeling. But you cannot numb pain without numbing purpose right along with it. You can't anesthetize the ache without suffocating the ambition. So when life pushes you to your knees, when everything inside you screams, when your chest tightens and your eyes burn, that's not the end. That's the beginning. That's ignition. That's you cracking open the shell of who you were, so who you're becoming can crawl out. Bloody and furious and brilliant people think stability is safety. But stability is a cage with cushions. Comfort is a coffin with soft velvet walls. The only real danger in life is never feeling pain. Because it means you never moved, never changed, never risked a thing. Pain is motion. Pain is proof there's still a fight in your fists, still teeth in your bite, still fire licking at your insides, begging to burn something old away. And yes, it hurts. Growth always does. Birth always does. Becoming something more always demands a sacrifice. But pain is not the villain. Stagnation is. Fear is. The quiet resignation disguised as maturity is. People say, I'm tired. No, they're numb. They stopped listening to the roar inside themselves a long time ago. Pain wakes you. It shakes you. It slaps the sleep out of your spirit and whispers, get up. Get up again. And again. It doesn't care if you're exhausted. It doesn't care if you're scared. It doesn't care if you already did everything right and still fell apart. Pain demands that you rise anyway, because every time you stand in the middle of chaos and you don't crumble, every time you feel the ache and you move anyway, every time you get cut and you bleed and you keep going instead of crawling away, that's when you become dangerous, not to others, but to failure, to doubt, to the version of you that wanted to surrender and fade into the quiet crowd. Remember, a wound means you were in the arena. A scar means you survived it. And every bruise is a love letter from life saying, you're still here, darling. You didn't break, you bent, you You burned. You bled. But you lived. Pain is the most honest teacher you will ever meet. It strips away lies, illusions, excuses. You can't fake who you are when everything hurts. Pain shows you your teeth, your backbone, your wildness. It reminds you that inside your chest is not just a heart, but a weapon, still beating, still burning, still ready to strike down every doubt and drag you forward inch by inch, scream by scream, through the fire, through the fear, through every shadow trying to smother you. And in that moment, you don't just survive pain. You become someone who wields it. It's funny, isn't it? How they all love you when you're quiet, soft, obedient. When you sit there with your head down, nodding politely while the world stacks weight on your shoulders like you're some kind of emotional mule. They clap for your humility. They smile at your silence. They adore your compliance. Until the day you stop bending. The day you stop apologizing for existing. The day you lift your head, look them in the eye, and say, "No." That's when the masks fall off. That's when the gentle smiles turn sharp. That's when the world shows you what it really hoped for. Not your success, not your strength, not your voice. No, it wanted you broken, easy to manage, easy to dismiss. Easy to forget. People don't fear your failures. They fear your refusal to collapse under them. Because a broken spirit is predictable. You walk where they tell you. You shrink where they point. You live so small you don't disturb anybody's sense of superiority. But a spirit that refuses to break. Oh, that's dangerous. That's volcanic. That threatens the fragile balance of ordinary minds who never dared to stretch beyond their own cages. And suddenly your resilience becomes rebellion. Your survival becomes defiance. Your existence becomes a threat to those who hoped you'd go quietly into the dark corners life reserved for the almost and the not enough. Funny thing, though, the world doesn't break you with big blows. It's subtle. It's slow. A quiet dripping of doubt, drop by drop, until your thoughts feel waterlogged and heavy. Why try? Who cares? Stay where you are. Little whispers disguised as logic, tears disguised as realism. The world doesn't throw boulders. It hands you pebbles every day and smiles while you drown under a mountain you never noticed growing. And when you start rising, they pretend to be confused. Why are you changing? Why are you distancing yourself? You think you're better than us now. Oh no. You just remembered you were never meant to be below them in the first place, and you didn't break. They pushed. You braced. They laughed. You sharpened. They doubted. You built. You stitched yourself back together with your own shaking hands when nobody even bothered to ask if you were still breathing. You whispered hope into your bones when everyone else called your dreams delusion. They wanted you shattered, scattered, silent, but you rose, crooked, scarred, trembling perhaps, but rising is rising. They think resilience is neat and tidy, a clean phoenix moment. They don't know resilience is teeth clenched in the dark, breath ragged, heart screaming, but still beating anyway. It's crawling before walking, walking before running, running before soaring, and nobody sees the crawl. They only see the flight and pretend they always supported it. And do you know why they wanted you broken? Because the unbroken remind them what they could have been if they didn't surrender. Your strength mocks their excuses. Your healing exposes their fear. Your persistence tests their comfort. People don't hate your light, they hate their shadows. People don't resent your rise, they resent their refusal to climb. You didn't get lucky. You didn't cheat. You didn't beg. You took every scar like a blade you forged into armor. You stitched every wound into a banner you carry like a victory flag. They wanted you bowed. And instead you learned how to stand, so tall that small minds strain their necks to look up at you. And now look at you. Not polished. Not perfect. Not untouched by pain, but carved by it, shaped by it, refined by every moment that tried to kill your spark. You wear your cracks like lightning scars, jagged proof that storms hit you, and you didn't fade. You electrified. You didn't turn bitter. You turned bold. You didn't collapse. You recalibrated. You didn't break. You bent, stretched, snapped back harder, sharper, wiser. They underestimated you because you bled quietly. They mistook your silence for surrender. They mistook your patience for weakness. They thought pressure would crush you, not realizing you were busy turning into diamond while they were laughing at coal. And now the same people who doubted you watch with unease, because nothing is more unsettling than someone who was meant to be ruined, standing, breathing, smiling a little too knowingly, like you saw the abyss and it blinked first. Ah, yes, that moment, the quiet shift no one saw coming. When the noise around you suddenly felt boring. When praise stopped tasting sweet and attention stopped feeling like oxygen. You didn't shout it. You didn't announce it. You didn't hang banners and scream, "I don't need validation anymore." No, you simply detached, soft, silent, almost eerie, really. And that's when the balance shifted. That's when you became dangerous. Because a person who no longer begs for approval is a person the world can't control. It's amazing, isn't it? How fragile people become when they realize their opinions no longer rule you. They used to throw compliments like candy, criticisms like knives, hoping one of them would land deep enough to shape you. They'd clap when you moved how they liked, frown when you dared to tilt, even a degree away from their expectations, like a tiny invisible leash, made of praise and judgment instead of leather. People think control only looks like shouting and chains. But oh no, the softest prison is the one built from the fear of disappointing others. And you lived in it once, didn't you? Afraid someone would stop liking you, stop respecting you, stop clapping for you. Then one day, you simply stopped caring. Not in a bitter way, not the angry kind of, "I don't care." No, you discovered the elegant version, the peaceful indifference, the inner shrug, where their cheers became background noise and their silence didn't sting anymore. You didn't become cold, you became free. You didn't become arrogant, you became sovereign over your own worth. Funny how they always call it arrogance, when someone finally stops begging for crumbs of approval. They mistake self-respect for rebellion. Or maybe they know exactly what it is. They just don't like that you outgrew the cage they were comfortable keeping you in. Do you remember when you used to rehearse your reactions? Practice being agreeable. Shape yourself to avoid being misunderstood. You twisted and trimmed pieces of yourself to fit their comfort. You swallowed fire to look harmless. You laughed with people who weren't laughing with you, only at you. Not anymore. Now you see the game. Now you understand the trick. Approval was never love. It was a leash. And all it took was one quiet internal decision. I don't need them to clap for me to keep moving. That's when the leash snapped. That's when you stood up straighter. That's when the room started feeling too small for who you were becoming. And oh, the reactions, the subtle panic, the raised eyebrows. Suddenly they're confused. Why are you so distant? Why don't you tell us everything anymore? Why do you seem different? As if confidence is a disease they're trying to diagnose. They poke at your silence like children poking a sleeping animal, nervous it might wake up and bite. Because deep inside, they fear what you already realized. You never needed them. You allowed them. And allowance is power. Now you walk into rooms without shrinking. You make decisions without polling the audience. You don't broadcast your plans like confetti, hoping someone applauds. You move in silence, not because you're hiding, but because you don't require witnesses to validate your steps. That terrifies people. Some flee, some cling. Some suddenly admire you. Funny, isn't it? The same people who ignored your whisper now chase your calm. The same ones who doubted you now lean in like you hold secrets. Power shifts quietly, and it always starts inside. And it's not that applause is bad. It's simply no longer your fuel. You work because you choose to. You rise because you refuse not to. You speak because your voice belongs to you, not to the crowd. If someone claps, nice. If they don't, you'll build anyway. You'll rise anyway. You'll thrive anyway. And nothing unsettles the world like someone who can't be bribed with praise or destroyed with silence. They can't puppeteer you. They can't seduce you with flattery, shame you with disapproval, manipulate you with attention. You stopped being entertainment and became intention. You stopped needing witnesses and became your own proof. They always say the loud ones are dangerous. But they're wrong. The most dangerous person in the room is the one who smiles quietly, moves deliberately, and knows their value without needing anyone to echo it back. The one who walks like they've already decided they belong. The one who no longer chases affection, validation, or understanding. The one who claps for themselves in empty rooms and keeps building anyway. That's you now. Not loud, not desperate, not waiting to be chosen. You became the one who chooses. And nothing frightens the world more than someone who refuses to be controlled by applause, because applause is the world's easiest leash. And you walked off stage mid-performance with your head high, as if you finally understood the oldest secret they hoped you'd never learn. You never needed the audience to begin with.